Welcome back. My name is Robert Farrell, your humble instructor, and I don't mean that in a dishonest way. I really mean that I really enjoy what I do, and I'm humble in the presence of students that are eager and really have the initiative and the enthusiasm. You'd be surprised. You don't have to be the sharpest knife in the box. You don't have to be the smartest student, but if you have the drive and the motivation and the enthusiasm, which perhaps are redundancies because they kind of sort of mean the same thing, you will go very far with this. In fact, I cannot share with you enough how motivated I get when a student is exciting about learning. I can't tell you how many students I've had in my personal classes, whether it was a group class or a one-on-one class, and they just look at the screen like a dead fish. It's like, why are you here? Or next time when you come to class, maybe you should break the Prozacs in half. Little humor there. I have to do something to amuse myself. Okay, now for those of you that are coders, okay, that build sites from scratch, not using Dreamweaver. Why do I need Dreamweaver? I just need Notepad in my brain, and I can just type out this code, and I don't need these silly tools. Well, that's good for you. But if you're a coder, I am going to share with you how incredibly simple it is to tag this content, to tag the content. Now, before we do this, I just want to share with you a concept. Right now, these are CSS rules, exact vocabulary. See, excuse me, it says right there. I was drinking Diet Coke, and I apologize about that. I just burped, so my apologies. Okay, so if I put my cursor right here, it says new CSS rule. And that's exact vocabulary. Now, important step, don't confuse the rules with the tags. Now, on Udemy, I have an actual separate course. It's a quick little course, by the way, and breaking down, really just breaking it all down, the difference between tags and rules and tags and rules. So it has to happen right now. If you want these rules to be applicable, then these have to be tagged exactly the same way. So what do I mean by that? Well, we need to tag the article with the article tag, meaning it's called the article tag, not articles, not the articles, not my articles. It's exactly the name of the tag is exactly what it uses to make the rule. That's why we select the tag, make the rule, select the tag, make the rule. In order to affect the tag, we need to select the tag, etc., etc., etc. So here's how incredibly simple it's going to be to tag the content, It's really this simple. Now, if you think it's that simple, because I'm making it that simple, I'm cutting through all the clutter and all the malarkey and all the bullpucky out there, and that's why I suggest don't read books. I've never read a software book in my life. I am totally 100% completely self-taught. Now you might say, well, how did you figure this stuff out? Well, it didn't come easy. Believe me, I wish I had somebody like myself 26 years ago when I pulled my hair out of my head. The first program I actually tried to teach myself, strangely enough, was Adobe Illustrator, as far as a professional graphics program. Along the same time as all this PageMaker as well. But if you want to talk about being frustrated, that was me 26 years ago. Now, wasn't born with this stuff. I'm not a child prodigy. I did not touch my first computer. I didn't even know what a computer really used for. It had made no sense to me. I didn't touch my first computer until I saw Macintosh in 1985. I was barely 26 years. In fact, let's see. It was my 26th year because I was born in 1959, so I wasn't quite 26. I think it was February of 85, so I was still 25. So if you want to talk about stupid, I had no clue as to even what a mouse. I didn't know the difference between hard drive and software and hardware. All that stuff was completely far. What did I know? My background was in sales and marketing. I worked at Nordstrom's. I was a buyer. I sold cars. I have a degree in political science from NYU. That, unfortunately, in a token will get me on the subway, or I should say MetroCard. So if you want to feel frustrated, I feel your pain. My objective is to make this so enjoyable and so incredibly simple because I'm making it simple. Because to quote Bill Clinton, I feel your pain. That was pretty good. That was pretty good, right? Not bad. Okay, here's what we're going to do. What's the name of this tag? Well, that's the name of the tag right there. So if you know anything about my lazy approach to computer software 101, it's already typed out. So what if I come up here and just copy that? Command-C, copy, Control-C, Windows. Now, with it selected, in order to affect it, I need to select it, which I just did. Incidentally, I double-clicked that. I didn't do this. I didn't drag it, because if you drag it, you can get more or less of what you're looking for. So you always want to double-click. I copy and hit Command-T. Command-T is quick, tag editor in Macintosh world, Control T in Windows world. Control T for quick tag editor. Say that 5 times fast. Now, what does this say? This says wrap tag. Wrap what tag? Well, right now it's just a word, but we're going to wrap it with paste. Copy, paste. The reason I copy it so I can paste. Well, I don't even want to type it. I already did type it. Just Command C, Command T, Command C, Command T. Windows, of course, Control C, Control T. Hit the return key once, twice. Now, why twice? Well, I didn't write the program. Now and only now is it following that rule structure generically that we set up here. So as an example, I'm just going to show you something to just, again, kind of get into your head on how this works. I'm going to double click back into my existing rules, exact vocabulary. Now, I can do that one of two ways. I can double click to get into it. I can click the pencil icon, whatever you feel works best for you. Okay, so based on these choices, we're simply going to, and I'm just going to do this so you can visually see what's going to happen here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just make this be a yellow background. So if I hit the apply right now, it's a yellow background. Now, the unfortunate thing about that is I can no longer see it too well. So I'm going to make it maybe a dark, let's actually make this a dark orange background. And I'm just doing this so you can visually see what it's doing to that particular tag. Now, in addition to that, this site is not going to fall under this procedure, but in addition to that, what I want to do is I want to say that if I do have a box, I just want at the bottom of the box, I want to separate each one of these HTML tags with, which is a common thing to be able to do, by the way, but not in this site. This site's going to go right next to each other. So where this tag ends, this one begins. So, but in general, you pretty much separate your HTML5 tags with 20 pixels of space. Now, for fluid grid design, again, the percentage is what I want to pay attention to for width. But for height, which is top and bottom, I can still use pixels. So based on these choices, if I hit the apply option right now, you'll see that that basically pushed it down. Now, this might look a little confusing because it pushed it into the white area, and this is white type on white box. I'm just going to cut this in half by dividing it by 2. See, there's a lazy technique for everything. I literally divide it by 2. For those of you who say, what did he just do? He did what? I can do the math right inside these dialog boxes. In fact, that's not even a Dreamweaver thing. Pretty much all Windows-based and Mac-based programs that have dialog boxes, depending on the software in general, all Adobe products, Work Express, a lot of your discrete software programs, Maya, Studio 3 Max, enable you to do the math right inside the dialog box. Now, that's not worth the price of admission right there. Now, you can see that there's a margin space. Now, here's the difference. Margin space is outside of the box. Padding space is inside of the box. So if you want to separate one div space from the outside, you would use margin space. And again, I'm just doing this as a simple for instance to understand that once I tag this content, the only thing that's not going to be affected is the footer, because the footer is not part of the scenario, nor should it be. So I'm now going to double click figure, and I'm going to copy Command C, Command T. Now, since you got that into your head, Command C, Command T, Command C, Command T, Command C, Command T, Windows, Control C, Control T, Control C, Control. So double click, copy, paste. Command V. Command V, by the way, you guys should really know how to copy and paste. If you don't know how to copy and paste, perhaps you shouldn't be watching this video. Okay, so I'm going to hit the return key once, twice. So there's the figure tag. Okay, now notice that these are staying up here because these have not been tagged yet. Okay, but I do want this to appear the way it appears on the page. Okay, so actually, did I make a mistake there? I meant to, you know what? I did make a mistake, didn't I? I meant to do header next. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Okay, jury, please strike that last thing from the reference. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. I meant to select the header tag. So I'm going to copy that, Command C, Command V, return key once, twice, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so really, really cool stuff. Now, as this is pushing further and further into white, at this point, I'm now going to double click back into my body, and I'm not going to change this to black. It defaults to black. Very important step here when working with CSS rules. I'm not going to make it black. It defaults to black. So now it's going to be black, so now I can actually see it better. Double click, copy, Command T, Control T, paste. So at this point, you should really get that into your head. So I'm going to double click, copy, Command T, paste, boom, boom. Okay. So again, it's going to be the nav, is the section on top here. Okay, so let's just hide this out of the way for a second. So if I was to turn the CSS rules off for a second, you would see that my media load is still there. This turns the CSS rules off, turns the CSS rules on. Now, for those of you that are new to Dreamweaver, in order to make this visible, you have to go to View, Toolbars, CSS style render and turn on. Once that's turned on, you can then turn your CSS rules off or on by toggling right here. Okay, so from the nav, we're then going to basically create the rule for section. Now, once I do that, it's going to affect everything that's a section. So I'm going to double click, copy, paste, return key once, return key twice. Now, in this particular case, here's what needs to happen. The article tag, and this is a very important stop, okay? I just want you to take this one step at a time. The article tag is going to be inside of the section tag. This is just the freestanding section. But this article tag, which is going to represent those little boxes at the bottom here, these are going to be different articles. Article about news, articles about sports, articles about software training. I see it must say go and check out Robert's classes on udemy.com. So in this particular case, we're still going to copy, so pay close attention to this. We're still going to copy the section tag. Then we're going to select both the section and the article tag. Then we hit Command T. So let me do that again. I physically selected the article tag to copy it. Then I physically, in order to affect these two tags, I need to select these two tags. Then Command T, paste, return key once, return key twice. Then I followed my objective, then I accomplished my objective by putting the article tag inside of the section tag. Right now it's not an article because I haven't tagged it yet. It's just a word called article. So now I'm going to double click, copy, Command T, paste, return key once, twice. So now, if you look at this, the article tag is inside of the section tag. And that's exactly what we wanted to do in this particular case. So the last section we'll do is double click, copy, Command T, paste, return key once, return key twice. Now, we're going to close out this video in just a second. The last rule, and this will kind of help you to understand something called clear. So these tags by default have floats associated to them. So right now, the footer doesn't have a rule. The footer has a tag, by the way. Well, actually, the footer doesn't have a tag. We're going to make the tag in just a second. So I'm going to double click this word, footer. I'm going to copy. I'm going to Command T, and I'm going to paste. So now I have a footer tag, but I don't have a footer rule. So here's a very important step. We'll close out the free portion of this video series. All the future videos from this point on, you'll have to pay for it. And I'm just being blunt here, guys. I don't want to sugarcoat it and you have to pay for it. Well, guess what? If you really want to learn the right way, then yes, you'll need to pay for it. It's not a lot of money, but if you're serious about what I do. Now, if you're not sure about what I do, don't take my word for it. Ask my students who spent a lot of money. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of money, but they spent money. They invested in themselves to basically take my courses. And again, I can't overemphasize enough. If you have the budget and you can afford it, take my all access pass. Now, on occasions, I do have special promotions for that. It retails at $17.49, and I typically do it for much, much, much less than that. But again, even if you have to spend $1,700, it's worth every penny, considering that you're getting a college education on the cheap. These are skills that are going to make you money, guys. These are not just skills. Don't just learn this to impress your girlfriend or use. I would highly suggest you don't learn Dreamweaver to pick up somebody at the bar. I mean, I'm sure it's been done. How do you format your HTML5 tags? Okay. Do you practice safe tag formatting? Okay, so we're going to select the tag. Now, again, we're going to do this in closing, and I just want to share with you something very important. Now, we already have the basic generic structure for these tags, but then we're going to make rule tags for these individual. So we're going to do one just for nav, and just for header, and just for figure. So in closing, we're going to basically create a rule for the footer, and I just want to share with you a concept. Select the tag and make a rule. In order to affect the tag, we need to select the tag. So we're going to create a rule for footer. Now notice what I did there, by the way. When I went into here, it said footer inside of wrapper, which it is. Footer is inside of wrapper. But I don't want this to say wrapper this, wrapper that, because technically everything is inside of the wrapper, and I would go totally insane if I saw the word wrapper a gazillion times. Well, maybe not a gazillion, maybe about 20 or 30. So based on these choices, you have two choices. I can either say less specific, That's one way. Of course, more specific brings it back. Or I can simply just create a rule for the selected tag by selecting tag you're in and hit OK. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay. First of all, the footer would typically be smaller. Now, I'll get more into this in my full course on this subject, but we're going to make this 0.8 M spaces, and I'll explain what M space. In fact, I do have a free video series on udemy.com/think-learn-earn, as to what an M space is and how to work with it. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to make the box height of our footer B, which basically is my line height. Now, the advantage of doing it this way, this will vertically put the type in the center, top and bottom. So we're just going to make this to start. Now, I know the mockup is considerably bigger, but we're just going to start this at 40 pixels of height. Okay, and I'm going to go to the category of block, and I'm going to text align this to the center. Now, this is not exactly what the comp is doing at this point, but I'm just sharing with you some basic techniques. Now, the most important thing to consider here is that this also needs to be displayed as a block of type, similar to the other HTML5 tags. Then, if I hit the apply option, notice that what the heck happened to footer. First of all, footer is doing some really wacky things here. Because what footer needs to do, footer needs to clear that space. So what I need to do based on these choices is footer needs to clear the left div space. So this is the left float space. My mistake on that. Slap myself in the head. So this has a left float, this has a left float. These all have left floats. So footer based on these choices actually needs to clear left. And if I hit the apply option, footer now will go exactly where it does need to go in the scheme of things. So in our next video, I will share with you my techniques on how to format and create the rules for these tags, getting closer and closer to building this exact pixel perfect mock-up of this entire Media Loot site, again, including all the bells and whistles. So if you really want to learn the cool stuff, guys, from this point on, you'll need to sign up for my course. Okay? Now, I don't make a habit of saying this because I would like to think that you sign up for my course because it's really the best training program out there. But here's the advantage of taking courses on Udemy. And I don't mind saying this, but don't take advantage of it either. I mean, my courses are really rock solid. For any reason, if you sign up for a course on Udemy, you have 30 days to kick the tires for no questions asked. So if you decided that you took this course and you're like, man, I just spent $50 for a course and it really wasn't what I expected, I want my money back. Well, guess what? Udemy has a no questions asked, rock solid refund policy. Now, I don't want to basically advertise that per se because there are people out there that will take advantage of the system. I've had students, strangely enough, and life is just a strange thing. They signed up for a lot of my courses. They basically got all they wanted out of it. They actually built sites and made money, and they asked for a refund because that's how some people can be. Now, those people have to live with themselves and live with their conscience. But that's there for a reason. It's there to protect you as a consumer. So for whatever reason, if you really think, man, these classes, I don't know about that, you know what? You can get your money back on udemy.com, which other places really don't allow that. They could, maybe they don't. But Udemy makes it very simple for you to do so. Now, I would like to think that my students are not out there asking for refunds. So thank you very much for being in this free section of udemy.com/think-learn-earn. The rest of this course is online. You can sign up for and make, in fact, on YouTube, and I'll probably do a little posting for maybe a coupon offer I'll offer for this course to sign up on YouTube or sign up on Udemy. Now, if you do have my All Access Pass, of course, this course is completely free to you. It's a lifetime access. It's a lifetime free pass. So thank you very much for being here. My name is Robert Farrell. I'm going to quote Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin said, "Tell me and I'll forget." That's true. Teach me and I'll remember. Yeah, maybe. But involve me and I will learn. I involve you in the thinking. So again, thank you very much for being here. And please, if you get a chance today, do something nice for somebody. Somebody in your neighborhood, perhaps an old person that lives in your neighborhood or in your apartment building, or a homeless person. Do something nice for somebody. Because I just did something nice for you. So again, thank you for being here. My name is Robert Farrell. Have a great, enjoyable day. Carpe Diem 2013.